The following program, The Lightning Strike, is sponsored by Mohammed Fahim, and to the extent applicable their guests. The views and opinions expressed therein do not necessarily reflect those of Heartland Signal, LLC, or its management.
Get ready to be jolted out of the ordinary and into a world where conversations are charged with intensity and facts. The Lightning Strike Talk Radio with your host, Mohammed Fahim, broadcasting live from the heart of the city on Chicago's Progressive Talk Radio, WCPT 820 AM. Welcome to a radio show that charges through the airwaves with an electricity like no other. Here's your host, Mohammed Fahim.
Chicago, and welcome to another edition of the Lightning Strike. Mohammed Fahim here in the studios, and I've got Alderman John Arena with me.
Good morning.
Ken DeLuke.
Howdy, folks.
And Sheila White, our segment producer for our Person of the Week, is actually in the studios with us today.
Good morning.
And if you can see us on Facebook, we have a different setup. So we are trying to come to you live from our own studios over here, and going forward, we'll be making a few changes, and when we need to, we'll be back in the studios of WCPT in the heart of Chicagoland. But again, this is coming together real quick for you folks.
We're in the heart of Joliet now.
Yeah,
that city.
The new Trump administration coming in, according to news reports now, some of the corporations are already falling over backwards to please the incoming president and his administration. According to news reports now, Walmart will be eliminating the use of the phrase DEI altogether. Other changes that are happening, Starbucks have listed in their announcement now that they're going to discontinue racial equity training through the Racial Equity Institute, no longer participating in the Human Rights Coalition's Corporate Equity Index. Now, this is a national benchmarking tool for LGBTQ individuals, right? And Starbucks have announced that they'll be eliminating the use of the Latinx, a gender-neutral word for anyone of Latin descent. Walmart also will be reviewing grants to Pride events to make sure it's not financially supporting sexualized content targeting kids. This is what the retail giant has told AP. So, guys, what the heck is happening? The administration is not even in here, and already these companies are falling over backwards to please the incoming president.
That's elections have consequences, right? When you have a racist and sexist leadership, then people, corporations being just responsive to how do they keep the money flowing to their subsidies, and all of those companies get some form of subsidies, either tax breaks or in Walmart's case, we basically pay their healthcare system because all of their employees are minimum wage for minimum wage or part time, and they want to keep in good standing. So what corporations do is just what's good for their bottom line, nothing else.
And Walmart has been ripping us off forever now, folks. Yeah. So if you shop in Walmart, I think you might need to do a rethink on that. Sheila, from a DEI perspective now, I mean, these guys have been beating down on DEI, and the new incoming Secretary of Defense, hopefully he will not be confirmed.
He's got trouble. Let's just be mild. His own mother just came out against him.
I saw that. There's a lot of people of color that are really upset about this. They're saying that they can take their money and go to another location to spend it. They don't have to beg you to spend their money. And so this is something that runs deep with a lot of individuals, a lot of people of color. They're not happy about this. And the elections is one thing, but you're supposed to be the president for all. And these corporations that have been taking the money from a lot of minorities, Latinos, African Americans, Asians, whatever, they should feel the backlash. And the way to feel the backlash is to hit them in the pocket. When you go and stop spending money with these individuals for a period of time, a long time ago, there was a bus boycott in the 60s, and that went on for a year. And then the government said, hey, wait a minute, we have to make some changes. And I think the way to affect change is to be able to hit them in the pocket, because at the bottom line, they don't care if it's red or blue. When it comes to the green, they're going to go with the green. They're not going to go with the red or the blue. So I think that's something we could do.
One of the things, folks, that you have to notice is that most of these places, except for or maybe Starbucks, because you got to have bucks to go to Starbucks. Okay,
Sure.
But Walmart and other places like that, they basically depend on the middle income and the lower income people for their clientele, and for them to just flop over like this before the administration comes in is ridiculous.
Well, I mean, again, Walmart is one of the most predatory companies out there. So, I think the challenge is people are looking for the lowest dollar to spend on everything. Walmart, really has the market cornered on the cheapest stuff you can buy and also the lowest quality. So, the question is that the lower income consumer going to make a political choice or a DEI choice, or are they going to go for the dollar? We have tariffs and the threats of tariffs and a lot of things that are going to happen, this upending of the entire financial system based on who Trump is considering.
Let's bring in Ken DeLuke to chime in on this. And folks, if you are tuned in and if you'd like to join the conversation, the number to call in is 773-763-9278. Let me repeat that number, 773-763-9278. You are listening to the Lightning Strike. Sunday mornings we come here every Sunday from 9 to 10. Ken, what's your take on this?
Well, I think the electorate is starting to get some serious buyer's remorse. As I mentioned last week, your dog chases a car every day, and then like 100 times later he catches the bumper. Now what does he do? So we're in that. Oh my God, what just happened scenario. So it'll be interesting. On the bright side, the U.S. House of Representatives, the margin's getting very much narrower. So all you need is one or two congressmen, and we can actually have a say in our government moving forward.
Yeah, it might be as close as 2 or 3 seats, with California still counting some of the votes in those contested races.
And this morning, folks, also in the studio with us is Frank Pappalardo, our sound engineer. Frank, thank you so much for coming in here, for joining us. And again, folks, every Sunday we try to bring up a couple of topics for you. Okay, we want to make sure that we hold our elected officials accountable for their actions. And that is going to be one of the things that as we go forward, they're trying to come in and they're trying to muzzle the independence of the press also.
And, I think it's important to understand that it's not just Walmart. It's a number of corporations that have kind of chimed in to this situation. And I think that we need to have people be more aware of the other companies that are out there that are doing just the same as Walmart. They're getting those benefits, as you said, John. And I think that we just need to be aware of the other companies that are out there besides Walmart that are taking advantage of this situation for their benefit, not for the benefit of the consumer.
Yeah, I mean, Walmart is one of the biggest examples. They've already come out openly, but I'm pretty sure there's lots of others out there that are going to, flop over backward and say, hey, President Trump, what can we do to please you?
And one of the things is this a nomenclature issue? Is this like, well, if we just stop using DEI because that triggers Trump, but how is it going to change their policy of advancement for people in their corporate structure? We have to, you have to look at what their corporate boards are evolving to and where they are. I don't think this is, there's a genie in the bottle kind of thing here, right? We have become illuminated about where we've been holding people back from a corporate, an opportunity standpoint in our economy. Are these corporations going to say, well, we're going to go back to not advancing people because of skin color or gender or whatever it is? I think that's going to be harder to do. I think this is a little more of a public relations, with one man being the guy that you're trying to relate to, or a small segment. And then you have, what are people really going to do behind the scenes? So that's the real question of how this plays out, I think.
Okay, folks, so you
There's
are
a lot of
tuned
good
in.
people out there as well that are not going to go for this, of just all colors. So.
Okay, you are tuned into the Lightning Strike Sunday mornings over here in the Chicagoland area. And if you want to chime in into the conversation, the number to call in is 773-763-9278. We'll take a quick break and we'll be back on the other side of the break to talk about not such a not fine gentleman, but his name is Randy Fine. And we'll talk about what Randy Fine has to say about what's happening in our country and out in the world out here now. We'll be right back after this break.
Did you know there's an Illinois mandate that states by 2025, ComEd has to have 25% of the energy they deliver come from a green source? Because of this, plus the fees and taxes you've already paid on this program, if you qualify, you can get solar on your home at no out-of-pocket cost. This can mean an average savings on your electric bill of maybe 30 to 50%. More importantly, it would eliminate the uncertainty of ComEd raising your rates by whoever knows how much each year. Some people have noticed a 41% increase on their bill this spring, and ComEd has been asking for another 80% increase over the next 4 years. If your average bill is $200 a month now, maybe it could be reduced to $100 a month. Now, 5 years, would you rather pay $115 or possibly $400 to $500? If you'd like to see if you can qualify for this program, call Ken DeLuke at 312-617-8979. That's 312-617-8979. Help us save the environment and change that electric bill burden. That's 312-617-8979. Take advantage of this program while it's still available.
Welcome back to the Lightning Strike with Mohammed Fahim.
Folks, welcome back to the Lightning Strike. Mohammed Fahim here, and in the studios with me, John Arena, Ken DeLuke, and Sheila White has graced us with her presence today. And Sheila, thank you so much for coming. And also, Michael White is sitting in the studios with us today as a backup for our technical genius, Frank Pappalardo. Okay, so a Republican now who's running for the soon-to-be vacant seat in the House of Representatives, it appears to threaten the chamber's only 2 Muslim women on Tuesday now, telling that they should consider leaving before I get there, and that is in quotes. So in a message to Reps Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib now, Florida State Senator Randy Fine added the cryptic hashtag bombs away. So Fine is running to replace Representative Mike Waltz, who is set to step down in Florida's 6th congressional district to be President-elect Donald Trump's national security advisor. And Trump has endorsed him in the race. So this guy, again, in quotes, says, the Hebrew hammer, end of quotes, is coming. Fine, who is Jewish, tweeted of his candidacy for the House, addressing the remarks that Tlaib and Umar, he added, might consider leaving before I get there. Hashtag bombs away.
I don't know if he can count. He'll be one of 435. So, you have a lot of control over things in your district. I don't think he's going to have a lot of control and decide who's going to be sitting in the House.
Well, this guy.
So you're saying it's a very small hammer?
Yeah, I think he's overstating his length and girth there.
The Fine is a staunch supporter of Israel, okay, and also has a history of making crass remarks about Muslims. Earlier this year, he referred to Muslim occupiers, again in quotes, when mentioning the Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem, praising Israelis who stormed the holy site. And if you look at Trump's current selections now, 60% of the people that he's appointing are right-wing, Zionist, Jewish.
Sure.
That many, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And what does that bode for the future of our country? I mean, we are already losing face. In the rest of the world is laughing at us because every time
as they should,
we claim that America is the champion of human rights, and then when it comes to human rights, we kind of look sideways when Israel is doing all of this bombing and stuff, right? So, how do we handle this, folks?
I mean, is that okay. I think, this is part of what we're talking about here is like this administration is going to upend everything. Mm-hmm. It's going to try to move us into a fascist right where they decide who's okay and who's not. And this is a big country. And I don't think they're going to we're not all going quietly at this point. And they've threatened us. They've threatened, literal bullets to be used, but they got a long way to go before they're taking over the military, where all these institutions fall. Mm-hmm. And we have to be aware that that's what we have to protect against. There's a lot of institutions that they're going to try to dismantle.
Well, this not so fine gentleman, John, has accused President Joe Biden of hiring, again, in quotes, okay, this guy is like very, very vocal, Muslim terrorists to work in the White House because he appointed a man of Palestinian descent, former diplomat and UN worker Maher Bitar, to work on intelligence policy. Fine has repeatedly called Biden, who has transferred billions of dollars in military funding to Israel, as quote-unquote jihad Joe. And last year, Fine said a person would be a fool not to fear American Muslims. Now, the Republican has run afoul of the court for his behavior also. In October, a Florida judge found him in contempt for making obscene gestures. He gave the middle fingers and mouthing expletives during a virtual court hearing on Zoom that took place in August. Okay. He also wore a T-shirt for one of his past runs for office during the hearing, which was a case in which Fine was tried to have him removed from a GOP leadership race ballot. The case was later dismissed. He had the 888 or something, 88 symbol on his T-shirt. And these are the kind of people that the American public has chosen to bring into power this time around.
Well, he's running, and he hasn't been elected.
No,
because there'll be a special election for this. So, I mean, again, as far as I'm concerned, the rhetoric he's using is terrorist rhetoric, saying bombs away and threatening other seated members of Congress. You know, hopefully the FBI, before it's taken over by the madman Kash Patel, if in fact that happens, where we're all going to be, having to give loyalty loads at the point of a gun. This is a guy that the FBI should be investigating as to, is he making threats that he's going to go to the Capitol and commit violence, because he's making threats of violence. And we have to take it seriously. Like, just, to me, an agnostic white guy from Chicago, I feel very threatened by his language. So if he's got something to say, go ahead and say it to the FBI. And let's see how that plays.
Isn't there the problem right now that the FBI is not doing the background investigations that they're supposed to be doing for people he's vetting for these positions?
Well, in this case, it's running for Congress. But yes, that is a problem where they haven't what's very interesting to me is they won't sign the ethics agreements that allows for these investigations to happen. Mm-hmm. What's ironic is all of this right-wing BS about defund the police. Well, what are they doing? They're trying to defund the oversight and the police ethics in our government. So, public investigators, IGs, all of these types of systems are what they want to defund. So they're okay with police going into communities of color and overreaching. They don't want any oversight over them. Right. So we got to have a definition of what defund the police, quote unquote, is. And right now we see very clearly the people Trump is trying to put into these positions of power don't want oversight over their largesse and their ethics issues.
It's kind of like they're being licensed to be crazy in the government or outside of the government. There's a lot of craziness that's going to happen over the next 4 years. Yeah. So people in the government, in Congress, down the line, and just everyday individuals will be seemingly more crazier.
Yeah. And there's different levels of this, right? So when leadership is doing something and projecting a message, which is dangerous, like we see here in this gentleman, Mr. Fine's comments and Trump's rhetoric and the rhetoric of the people that Trump is putting in. The question is, how does the American public and sectors of the America respond to that? Leadership matters. They are led by, and if our leadership is allowed to make these comments and openly discriminate, then that's going to create problems in our communities where people are going to say, I now have the right to go and discriminate at some way, shape, or form, whether it's yelling at somebody in the Starbucks line and being a Karen or whatever, or actually committing violence because that's what's being projected. And this is really what we're in for with the coming years. Now, the first test, in my opinion, is what is the Senate going to do with these appointments? Are they going to confirm these appointments? And then how is he going to respond when they don't confirm him? He's just going to say he's an acting whatever, right? Yeah. And because he did an awful lot of that in the first term, and he's just not going to take no for an answer, right? So then that'll be our first test. Then it'll be, how do the American people respond and say, no, we have to have systems and checks and balances.
Well,
and that's the test.
The main thing, guys, that I've been noticing, folks, all these years now, is the American public does not really give a darn about things. I mean, they would come out and vote, and the amount of people that actually come out to vote is so ridiculously low in our country. And we are letting these people on the extreme right or the extreme left also take over and run their policies. We'll take a quick break, and on the other side of the break, I want to come back and talk a little bit more about Kash Patel and his remarkable, rise under the first Trump administration, and what this guy is all about. We'll be right back after this break, folks.
Your voice matters more than ever. Are you registered to vote? If not, don't wait. Download the Vote IQ app today. Vote IQ gives you all the information you need on local and national offices, plus constant updates on the political news that affects you. It's easy, it's free, and it's your key to making informed decisions. Visit the Play Store or go online to www.app.voteiq.org. Your vote is your power. Make it count. Download the app now and ensure you make an informed decision at the polls.
Welcome back to the Lightning Strike with Mohammed Fahim.
So I wanted to kind of continue the conversation about Kash Patel, guys, and then we'll have our sound engineer Frank come in with some great ideas that we've been batting around for quite a while now. So this Kash Patel now has had a remarkable rise under the first Trump administration. He went from being a Capitol Hill staffer to a major player in Trump's clashes with national intelligence and law enforcement agencies. He has called for a comprehensive house cleaning at the Justice Department, and the FBI, in his memoir now, including prosecuting officials who, he says, in any way abuse their authority for political ends.
It's a deep state conspiracy. Right?
Yeah, Trump has called Patel's book, he wrote a book entitled Government Gangsters, a Roadmap to End the Deep State's Reign. So to come to you, Ken, what you just said about the deep state, this Kash Patel guy is, he has threatened to crack down on Trump's political rivals and conspirators in the government and the media. And he also parroted Trump's baseless claims that the 2020 presidential election was stolen. So Patel has been floated for a variety of national security roles in the second Trump administration. He's expected to face a very rocky road to confirmation as FBI director. And I hope that some of the senators will have the spine to say no to this guy also.
We hope so. Wren has... 2027, his term isn't up until it's a 10-year appointment.
Yeah.
He would have
3 more years to go. Yeah.
He would have to resign or be fired by Trump, which I'm sure Trump would be happy to do. But we have a norm where the Senate has to be rational.
I would love to see when Trump fires him and he comes back with his own book. Okay. On that note, folks, let me throw it back to Ken. Ken, you want to introduce Frank and see what you and Frank are planning on doing?
Okay, folks, we've been talking about this for a long time. It's finally coming together. We came up with a new concept, and Frank Pappalardo is probably the most prolific sound engineer in the music industry. He was the head engineer for Soundstage for a number of years. He actually did work with the last 2 Beach Boys albums. And he's probably met every major rock star you can ever think of. So I'm going to give this over to Frank. He's going to explain this new project we're working on. And this is important because what really excited me about this, as Frank said, he knows 95% of the people who write music, okay, they couldn't write a lyric to save their lives. And Frank's going to explain how we're making
Thanks, Ken.
work.
Yeah, it seems there are people that are musicians that have no problem at all writing music and really struggle when it comes to lyrics. And then there's people that are writing poems. They don't even know that they're writing songs, and they know nothing about music. And what we'd like to do is put those people together. And we're going to start by posting some lyrics that are just out there for anybody to look at, download, and write a song around. And then we'll review those songs, and maybe we'll play some on the air and pick some to move forward with. But we're hoping that we can, we're going to call this Song Connection, and we're hoping we can put lyricists together with people that write music and come out with a lot of really great songs. And so that's the plan. And if you want to be involved in this, you can email me at frank@tlschicago.com. That's frank@tlschicago.com. And we'll have more about this as time goes on. And hopefully we can put some musicians and lyricists together.
Now, on that note, if you send us your name, we will send you the lyrics, so then you can put that to tunes. If you're not the best singer in the world, don't worry about it. Send it to us. We have an in-house band that can reinterpret it if you're not comfortable with your own voice. But when you do write the song, do it to the best of your abilities. We'll listen to it, and either we can use your recording or we can actually record it ourselves. So let this be an opportunity, because this is a chance to really blow this thing up. And I do have connections down the road. We're going to do 12 songs, one each week, and at the end of that week, we're going to put together an album. Okay, and if the concept works, we do have some connections. We may even take it viral and put it on TV production. So please participate. This is a chance for you to gain immortality for what you love doing.
Thanks, Ken.
Okay, so folks, again, if you want to just be part of the program, please send an email to frank@tlschicago.com, and we'll see where we can go from this. And by the way, we are coming from our new studios over in Joliet today, so if you want to join us live on the show, you can call in the same number, 773-763-9278, or you could be watching us live on Facebook on the Lightning Strike. So go to facebook.com/TLS Chicago, and you would be able to watch us live over here and actually interact with us. So if you want to send us a message on Facebook, I think that would be the best way to do it for today. And we can actually read out your messages on Facebook. Now, coming back to what we were discussing, Kash Patel is going to be bad for the country. Okay, Peter Hegseth is going to be bad for the country. Who are the good people that Trump has picked so far? Can you come up with any names at all?
What is there, 4,000 that's got to be selected? We can't come up with one?
Well, I guess the ambassador to France. I mean, that's Kushner's father, so that'd be good.
It's going to be all in the family, right?
Yeah.
What's amazing to me is that the conservatives that I've worked with in Chicago, which, fewer and farther between, most of the ones that I've had to deal with are pretty far right. They all talk about, patronage. They rail against the family member getting the job and losing their minds about, all of this kind of insider trading. And they voted for a guy who has put his kids in every high power position with no qualification, or somebody, now we have the billionaires running around Mar-a-Lago making deals and arguing like it's like a knife fight down there. And what did I just the sheer hypocrisy of complaining about it on one side and then going, oh yeah, but that's okay. When what have his family members done except grift just like their father has done their entire lives? And so it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. And does anybody ever go, well, maybe just hiring this one family member over and over again and layering the government with members of the family Like, how do they reconcile that? I'd love for somebody to call in and say, if there's any right-wing folks out there saying, come on, explain this to us. Explain how this is good government.
Well, the problem is, here's the thing, okay? All the right-wing conservatives, the so-called, Bible thumpers, went ahead and elected a person who has broken every rule that the Bible has ever
So hypocrisy is the norm, not the exception. Yeah. I mean, it's like, well, we'll look past that because he'll do what we want him to do. Again.
Well, you remember he said, Christians, just vote for me this one time. I don't care about you. I just want your vote. He wasn't kidding.
And then when we have a co-president now who has taken residence at Mar-a-Lago.
Elon Musk. Can we have, they say mass deportation. Can we have a Musk deportation, considering he came here illegally, he immigrated here illegally?
Yeah, I mean, he came in as a student, folks. Go back and check it out. He came in on a student visa from Canada, okay? And then he went to 2 classes at Stanford and dropped out and started a software company and then sold it for a few $1 million later on to PayPal and all of those things. And that's how he got his start. And then he starts getting this $1 billion contracts from the federal government, right?
Wow.
I mean, this guy is a smart businessman. I'll give you that. Okay, because he invested, $120 million or something into getting Trump elected. Look at the return he's getting now. Okay, it's crazy returns that he's going to get.
Well, and again, it goes back to the hypocrisy of a guy who already has billions in government contracts through SpaceX. He's getting subsidies for building battery plants and cars. So we put this guy in charge of deciding who gets contracts and how do we create reform in government spending. And he wants to get rid of $2 billion of an $8 billion discretionary budget. Well, can we start with the defense contracts that, that's where the largesse is in it's not get rid of Social Security because that's our money. It's get rid of some of the waste in defense spending and maybe stop shipping bombs into genocidal, wars.
Well, what are the chances, guys, of these guys actually coming in with this Department of Government Efficiency and getting that thing off the ground, getting it funded, for example, and then have Congress approve all of the changes? Or are they just going to bypass Congress altogether?
No, they won't. And, this Doge thing is ridiculous. What's really crazy in terms of monetary policy is that we're going to hit Canada and Mexico, our 2 biggest trading partners, with tariffs. We're going to hit China with another 10% tariff. That's just going to increase everybody's. And, this has been said 1 million times. What part of tariffs are taxes on the general public are people not understanding? This is like driving me nuts. Even Trump is still repeating, oh, no, tariffs only affect the the countries that are coming into us. And people are believing this. I mean, wake up, people. This is ridiculous.
Although it is the highest, one of the highest Googled terms. What are tariffs since the election? I'm really glad the American public did their homework after the election. You find out what a tariff is. So some statistics that have been going around: 90% of avocados that we consume in America are grown in Mexico. 70% of tomatoes that we can consume. So if you put a tariff on a tomato because you want it to be grown here, well, then you pay higher prices because the importer, right? It comes to our border. The bill doesn't go to Mexico. It comes to our border. When it's crossing the border, going through customs, you pay the tariff. The company importing it pays the tariff. So we talked about corporations being these gracious, loving, just giving institutions that say, well, if you put a 25% tariff on my avocados, I'm going to eat that cost. I'm the avocado importer. No, it's going to translate into a higher price on the grocery shelves.
Would that be 25% more, for example?
that might be 25% more or 30 or 40 because, who knows how much, they want to pass it on.
That sounds
That's a good point.
inflationary for some reason.
Yeah, it might increase the cost of it. And that's just.
Well, stop eating tomatoes and avocados.
And at the same time.
That is food for the elite billionaires.
Only the rich eat avocados and tomatoes now.
Well, you can eat cake.
Yeah. Well, flour.
Remember who said that?
Where's that sugar coming from? It better all be coming from flour.
Remember who said that? Marie Antoinette.
Yes, she did.
You can eat cake.
Said.
Okay. And Ken, if you could come please close to the mic. I mean, you're not. I'm not hearing you at all. If you're that far leaning back, man, go on. Okay. So, folks, you'll all end up eating cake.
And the other end of this equation is the mass deportation BS. So guess what? Hey, I'm all for paying people a living wage. So if we're going to reform the system where immigrants are the majority of the workers that pick our fruits and vegetables, okay, then we're going to pay them a minimum wage. In California, where a lot of this stuff is grown, has a minimum wage of $17 an hour. Let's pay them $17 an hour. Well, what's the cost of a lemon then, or an orange in Florida, so, everybody says we just want to get rid of these people because somehow they're the problem, except you're okay with them cleaning your toilets. You're okay with them picking your fruit and vegetables and paying them substandard wages. Yeah. Fine. Let's make a level playing field and put them into the system. Everybody has to be a legal resident, naturally born, I guess. Find me those workers that are going to do the backbreaking work.
Hey, John, I have no problem waiting in a restaurant for an hour and a half because they have no workers in the back.
Because they have no workers.
Yeah.
Well, it's so funny. People talk about immigration, but if you think about it, everybody came here from someplace else. There were some people here and everybody else came here. Yep. So literally everybody should go back home. Everybody should go. America doesn't belong to just one person. It's just.
They have actually announced that they're going to go back and check the paperwork for people who have been legally here and came in as immigrants. They're going to check their backgrounds to see if their papers were filed correctly, if there's been any mistakes. I mean,
then we start with Melania and Musk.
Musk.
I have those. I suggest start with those two, and if they check out, you can keep going.
Okay. So that's the fun part, folks. Again, this is all about holding our elected representatives accountable. Okay, we want to make sure that these guys get a spine now. Okay, and not to follow backwards. I don't know what the heck is happening to the America that we know and we all love. Okay, our incoming, Health and Human Services Secretary. What's the guy's name again? Who dumped a dead bear in Central Park?
JFK Jr. or RFK Jr.
RFK Jr.
Yeah, RFK Jr. Not JFK Jr. JFK Jr. is gone and dead man. Okay, but this guy is also coming in. If he's confirmed, first I'm pretty sure that he will be confirmed, right? Because he's a Kennedy. How can you not confirm Kennedy?
Oh, I think there's a lot of ways you could not confirm that Kennedy. He's a lunatic.
Yeah, I actually think that I don't think that's going to happen.
And I think that's an official term there.
Okay.
It's on his resume.
So what he's saying that if confirmed, he wants to marshal the country's public health agencies to implement his Make America Healthy Again MAHA priorities. Okay.
And he's going to come out with his own brand of whale juice.
And avocados as well, as we talked about.
Well, here's the thing.
How is he going to do that?
I really want to know. The pharmaceutical, lobby is so strong. They're going to, fall over backward. And I keep on using the word, I know, Michelle, that you're listening in and you always complain that don't use the word, so often, right? But Kennedy wants to crack down on the direct-to-consumer advertising by the pharmaceutical industry. So if you watch television or something, you see this ad pop up, talk to your doctor about this, okay? And by the way,
But wait, I won't be able to hear every 5 minutes about ED pills being 3 cents a pill? Come on, man.
I don't know.
That's going to kill our economy.
I don't know which, channel that you're listening to because I don't hear those
CNN.
ED ads, man.
for MSNBC already.
I don't know, John. I mean, is there something that we should all know about things? Okay, folks. On that note, we'll take a quick break and we'll be back on the other side of the break with our final segment of the morning here. You'll tune into the Lightning Strike on WCPT 820. So I'm going to say that for today. But we are coming in actually from our studios in Joliet, Illinois now.
Your voice matters more than ever. Are you registered to vote? If not, don't wait. Download the Vote IQ app today. Vote IQ gives you all the information you need on local and national offices, plus constant updates on the political news that affects you. It's easy, it's free, and it's your key to making informed decisions. Visit the Play Store or go online to www.app.voteiq.org. Your vote is your power. Make it count. Download the app now and ensure you make an informed decision at the polls.
Welcome back to the Lightning Strike with Mohammed Fahim.
So we are back on the Lightning Strike, and if you want to reach us, you can always go to our website, tlschicago.com. We are also coming in with a new website, tlsradio.com. Send us a message through the website, and if you can support the show also, there's a donate button on our website, tlschicago.com for now. And you can always send a couple of bucks our way to keep this show going. On that note, now let's come back to our incoming Secretary of Defense, Speaker Hicks. Said, do you think that guy is going to be confirmed? I mean, his mother is saying that he should not be the Secretary of Defense. I mean, come on.
Well, I mean, I trust his mother more than I trust the Senate.
And mothers knows best. We know that moms knows best. So there's a lot of credibility there, you know.
It's going to be interesting to see where the Senate, you know, with him not getting his pick of Rick Scott as the Senate majority leader, is the Senate going to say, look, we are an institution that needs to be a check and balance to power, even though they may agree with policy, the side of things. At the end of the day, they've got to, if they're at all concerned about their own power, which I believe they are because they're senators in the United States, then they've got to protect that. And you can't do that if you just are a rubber stamp to everything that the president says he wants. And this guy is incredibly unqualified to run a bureaucracy the size of the military. He doesn't understand military strategy. He was no offense to National Guardsmen. They're fantastic. But you're a National Guardsman. That's not a full-time military position that positions you to understand military strategy and global military strategy. So he can rail against women in combat, but that's a third of our fighting force. Good luck in a time when it's harder and harder to recruit. When you're saying we're going to get rid of gays, we're going to get rid of women,
yeah,
like what that just chills anybody coming into our military. And two, how are you going to what are our enemies going to do when they see our forces depleted and knowing we can't respond to threats the way we need to? We have hundreds of thousands of military personnel across the globe in 700 bases. How are you going to man these bases without just sticking to females? You can't. So it's a ludicrous proposition on its face. And it's insulting to the men and to the women who have given the full measure of devotion to this country.
Tammy Duckworth,
who
Yes,
lost her legs.
Mm-hmm.
These are fighter pilots. These are not women working in the background. These are women doing critical jobs. They're maintenance workers on our military equipment. Mm-hmm. And they are in firefights. And you're going to tell those people you're not worthy? Good freaking luck.
Okay, folks. So again,
and again, his mother accused him of mistreating women for years. His mother. I mean,
and the legal system.
Yeah.
Too,
what kind of source do you need more than that?
Yeah. No, I think there's going to be half of these are just going to either have to withdraw their names.
Do you guys think that Trump is purposely picking people like this so he can create some kind of a discord, disturbance?
You know what? I'd like to believe that he was smart enough to figure that out, but he's not. This is just because he doesn't have a clue. I mean, he literally doesn't have a clue.
Ken, he's the smartest president that we have had. Man.
Oh, is that true?
According to him.
Yeah,
according to him.
The only
According to
authority he listens to.
He's the bestest and the smartest.
You know what? He's going to make America great again.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, but America was great to begin with, man. So that's why I came to this country about 40 plus years back now, because this is such a great country. I don't want it to be a greater great now. Okay.
I think it's about, we all know this. I think here sitting around this table, but America has the potential to be great. It's always about potential. We can always be better. And that has been our legacy and why this country works. To say we need to go back to a place that you can't even define. And by the way, if you go back to a worse America. We are never better behind us. We're always only potentially better ahead of us. And that's really what I think the American people have to fight for going forward, because they're trying to get back to a place where it's white Christians that get to make all the decisions.
Oh, now I know what their definition of making America great again. Okay, it should be, instead of MAGA, it should be MAWA, make America white again.
Good luck with that.
I think we have to remember.
Father knows best.
Father knows best. There is always a better best than we now express. We have to know that we can always move forward.
Yeah, we can always get better.
Yeah,
right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
but
right.
that doesn't mean that we have to break down all these things that we have set up so far and start up from the ground to make America great in the image that these guys have in their Project 2025 planning, right? That's where it's all coming in from, the Project 2025 team. Most of those team members are now part of the Trump administration, and Trump claimed that he did not know what Project 2025 was.
How about building bridges instead of walls, in America? Let's go to that. Build bridges that we can connect together.
If you build a bridge, those immigrants, those pesky immigrants, are going to come over the bridge now, okay? So do you really want to build bridges, Sheila? Come on. Okay.
We got to do better. Though there's a lot of goodness out there, a lot of good people still out there, and I think that the people that will stand up and stick together to help America to be standing up to its true morals of being good. That's what we have to do. We can't just sit down and let anything happen. This is a country for all people.
There you go, folks. And that is the important thing that I want you to take away from today's conversation. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid, okay? The sky is not going to fall on us. These people might come in with a lot of crazy ideas, but it takes a generation to really change the course of things in America, and 4 years is not a generation.
Yeah. There's a quote from Carl Schurz, My Country, Right or Wrong, which a lot of people read and only end there, but the full quote is, my country, right or wrong, if right, to be kept right, and if wrong, to be set right. I think we're in the setting right portion of that phrase right now. We need to fight. And I think the younger generation is going to be a big part of this. I think the people that are going to be victimized by the horror show that Trump is proposing, I don't think they're going to go quietly into the night.
Yeah, and it's really sad because of the Project 2025, which he disavowed. Basically, most of the people he's targeted to fill his administration with are all people who have been part of that program, the 2025 program that he knows nothing about.
And the America First Institute, those people are also coming in very strong in the new administration. On the good news front, though, there's a ceasefire between Israel and, Lebanese Hezbollah, which began on November 26, and it continues to hold a little bit of there's no ground combat that has been reported, but there's been some limited airstrikes, and the Hezbollah Secretary General Naim Qassem has publicly acknowledged the cessation of hostilities on November 29th. And let's see that if that is going to hold, because it's a 60-day ceasefire. And I think that Biden kind of went ahead and pushed someone's hand on making this happen during his administration. And in 60 days, it's 50 days to the new administration now. 50 days, the administration will be changing as of today, right? And in 60 days, I think these guys are actually taking a break to rearm themselves. They are the main idea behind all of this fighting is not going to go away in 60 days, right?
Not without more negotiations and an establishment of some real human rights.
Yeah, there's been a lot of angst in Israel, especially, folks. There's been constant uprising against the prime minister and his commitment to this war, because as long as the war is going on, this guy is going to be in power, right? Mm-hmm. The moment the war is over, he's going to be in prison, and he does not want that to happen. And in 60 days, I was listening to his remarks yesterday that Netanyahu has come in and said that, we need some rest. So that
yeah, you've been on kind of a genocidal tear there. You got to kind of slow down and take a breath.
Most of the time, Israel's policy has been for this, limited skirmishes for like 6-day war and 7-day war, not a 14-month war. They are running out of, and he came out and said that we don't really have the replacement equipment and arms in place. Okay. So they want to rearm themselves. They want to come back more stronger, and hopefully America would not send them any more of those 2,000-pound bunker buster bombs. And but so far, this was something that I've been talking about last week with you guys in our team meetings. That we since October 2023 to now, America has given Israel more than $22 billion worth of military and other assistance. Not the 2.3 or 2.5 billion that we give them every year, regardless of whether we have health care or not, whether we have housing for our veterans or our poor people or not, whether we have free education or not. People in Israel get free education, free health care with our tax dollars. How is that? What's the word I'm looking for? I mean, God.
Insanity. Insanity.
How's that sane, folks? We have to have someone come up and say, enough is enough. And last week we spoke about AIPAC's impact on the elections. They spent like $58 million or something so far on last year's elections. They had committed $100 million to unseating some of the PAC members. This is what we are facing, folks. It is our country. We need to take it back. Yeah. We need to take it back by participating in the electoral process.
Yeah. We had I checked some numbers. We had about 146 million votes cast. So that's about 40% of people in this country voted out of 360 million. So, to your point, more people need to come out and vote, and they need to educate themselves before they do it, and Google tariffs before you vote.
Google tariffs.
Or anything you're concerned about.
Okay.
Check it out.
Yeah, one of the things that you can do is really go to the Vote IQ that we have been promoting, folks. We've been talking about voteiq.org. And go to that website, and you'll see that there is a lot of people that you can get information about what's happening in the country, what's happening on the political front, and there's people who are running for office. You can get a lot of information on that. Ken, you were pointing something. Sorry, I couldn't.
Your phone.
My phone is actually up there, so I won't be able to get that to you. Okay, we're not going to do that now. Okay, we are really running out of time, but. We have got how many? We've got 3 minutes, folks, and every week we have our person of the week come up, and Sheila White is our segment producer for that. And today we wanted to actually surprise Sheila by making her the person of the year for us, Sheila.
Yay! And I love avocados.
Thank you for everything that you have done for us, and hopefully we'll continue our relationship. And I actually wanted to bring in a nice certificate for you today, and I forgot.
Oh my goodness! And you forgot the donuts. I think you forgot the donuts.
Donuts
and coffee, right?
Donuts and coffee and churros out there, as promised. Okay. So again, folks, we got 2 minutes to go before we end the show for today. And thank you all for listening, and thank you all for giving us an opportunity to interact with you on a weekly basis. Go to our website, tlschicago.com, for The Lightning Strike. You can support us by sending in a small donation through the link over there. That is a donate link. And this coming Tuesday is Giving Tuesday. So make sure that you all remember that Giving Tuesday, give something to tlschicago.com also for us to continue these conversations with you.
Or organizations like the ACLU or the Shriver Center. There's the Southern Poverty Law Center. All of these institutions are going to be litigating against some of these policies that we've discussed today and others. So they're really going to need resources. So think about donating.
Make sure that you're staying out of the companies that are falling over backwards to please Trump and his incoming administration, and send them your message by voting from your pocketbooks for these companies. On that note, thank you all for listening. We'll be right back here next week, same time, Sunday mornings from 9 to 10 on WCPT 820 AM in Chicagoland area, Chicago's Progressive Talk radio station. On that note, folks, thank you all very much. Good morning and good day. Have a nice week.
Ciao.